Mr. President, it's been quite a bit in the press about defective, exploding airbags. This is a part of a steering wheel with the airbag deployed. In the steering wheel, the driver would be like this with their hands on the steering wheel. And when the impact occurs, the airbag is deployed. Instantly, if you've seen that kind of impact, and the airbag, because of the chemicals inside the steering wheel, causes an explosion that comes out of already existing holes in the metal that contains the airbag, and it deploys the airbag like this, so that in this case, the driver, in the case of the passenger, the same, but it's not a steering wheel like this. And that protects and has saved countless thousands and thousands of lives. Well, the fact is that we now know there are 4 people in this country that are dead, and there are 100 that are injured, and that's not including the international office because of the defective airbag that has been manufactured by a Japanese manufacturer. And what its defect is, that instead of the chemicals exploding to inflate the airbag, it explodes with such force for all of this that is contained within the steering wheel. Before it explodes, there is metal. When the explosion, the chemical explosion occurs, it's supposed to go through the air holes and fill the bag. But instead, what has happened in the explosion, it's with such force that some of the metal becomes shrapnel and comes through the bag and, in effect, becomes lethal projectiles that harm either the driver or the passenger. For example, on this exploded airbag, I want you to see the size of the hole that was ripped in this bag here. Here's another one, a hole that was ripped. There are holes in other parts of the bag. Now, obviously, this isn't supposed to occur. And as a matter of fact, I visited with a constituent from Central Florida. This is a firefighter with a young wife and a young child. And a piece of shrapnel in this particular constituent's case came into his eye, and he has lost that eye forever. And therefore, his occupation as a firefighter, he will not be able to fulfill the financial support for his family as a firefighter. 4 people in this country confirmed are dead. 100 are injured. So we have a federal agency that is supposed to be protecting us. It's called the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And they have recently, because of the attention brought to this matter, they have come out and have said they want these recalls, but the recalls first started out at about 4.7 million. It's been doubled to 7.8 million. It is increasing all the time, and it's expected that it will be in the range of 11 million in this country and 16 million recalls worldwide. Normally, if you could get the recalls done once it occurs, once the defect is known, then the public is protected. But it seems like, similarly to some dragging of the feet of automobile manufacturers and their parts manufacturers in the past, that is what is occurring here. And what we're also seeing is a federal agency that, in this senator's opinion, has not been right up front, forward-leaning, and aggressive to protect the public. And thus, I have requested of the Secretary of the Department of Transportation to get into this and to do several things. First of all, to make sure that all these recalls are happening. But secondly, if you are a person who knows of the recall because the automobile manufacturer has sent you a letter, are you going to be wanting to drive around if they tell you that they can't fix it immediately? Are you going to be wanting to drive around in an automobile that could suddenly explode and cover you with metal shrapnel, severely injuring or killing you? Of course not. So where is the automobile manufacturer with regard to giving a loaner until that airbag can be replaced with a safe one? Or where are they with regard to providing a rental car? For the automobile company to say, we will disable the airbag until we can get the proper replacement, that's not a solution, because often the seat belt and the airbag are designed to work in conjunction with each other to protect the safety of the driver and the passenger. So driving around in a disabled airbag is not a solution. The solution is prompt replacement of the defective lethal airbags, or until they can be replaced, to give the customer another automobile that is safe. Now, along the way, someone came up with the brilliant idea in the federal agency that they were going to issue just regional recalls under the assumption that high humidity, in fact, is one of the causes, which they don't know that, but that's one of the suspicious causes. But what does a regional recall do for the protection of the public? Aren't we a mobile society? And if you say that you have high humidity in my state of Florida and Texas and other southern states, well, aren't we a mobile society in which people in other parts of the country that own automobiles come to our states? Of course we are. And oh, by the way, how about some of the states in the north that have high humidity in the summer, if in fact that is a cause? So to say that the solution to the problem is a regional recall is totally ridiculous. And the federal regulatory agency should not be issuing these kind of edicts if we are serious about protecting the public. I have recommended in a letter that has been signed by several of our colleagues to the Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Fox, that he start imposing the maximum fine allowed by law per day against the automobile manufacturers for any days that are missed in replacing the defective airbags so that the people will not have to drive around in cars with this defect. Mr. President, while we were home over this recess over the election, I had an airbag explode and demonstrate its force. It is severe and it is quick, as it has to be in order to protect the passenger in an automobile accident. But if that airbag is defectively constructed so that the explosive force becomes like a hand grenade, exploding and sending pieces of metal into the human body that the very device is supposed to protect, then it's time for action. Mr. President, I hope that the folks that are manufacturing and installing these defective airbags indeed are hearing these words of warning. Mr. President, I yield the floor.